This is Booger McFarland, and you're listening to Chasin Birdies.
All right, guys, it's Thursday, and that means another episode of Chasin Birdies. Thank you for joining us today, man. I hope y'all enjoy this one. My man, what's up?
Thank you for joining us, bud.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
This is my third time this week seeing you. Loop in the birthday party that we had, and then our X Golf event. Thank you to X Golf for having us out. That was awesome. Good to see everybody, meet people, hopefully some new listeners, drink some beers. Thank you. And thank you to Lynx Brewing for being a sponsor of the show. They brew the Chasin Birdies Blonde Ale. Dynamite. People enjoyed it. And make sure you go to lynxbrewing.com to buy some. And only if you're in Pennsylvania, though. You can buy it, go pick it up, or have it shipped within PA.
Good stuff.
Thank you to those guys.
And you know what, dude? We popped a few of those with some of the boys last Saturday night up at McParland for a little birthday celebration. And the Chasin Birdies Blonde Ales were just flowing, man. I mean, I only had two, but they were delicious and cold. Always a good time. But you know what? You guys got to bear with us today because a lot has happened for us here in the last 2 weeks since the last episode. Obviously, we have a good guest on today's show, but we just got to talk a little bit right now. So you guys got to just give us the stage, listen. And let's go back because, you know, if you're following us along on the Instagram handle, Chasin_Birdies, you probably saw Pep getting into a little tequila down there at Pine Needles, Mid Pines, Southern Pines, when the 2023 Pine Needles Invitational. Unfortunately, our good friend and, you know, great friend of the show, Brandon Katzev, could not make it this year due to a family emergency. However, leave it to Steve Peering to just walk on in, bud.
Who would have thought? Steve Peering would happen to be in town that night anyways, so I had to make him the call on Tuesday. He was in the minors, and we called him up, and he was there for the call-up, and he played in a gross event, which I had to tell him, like, but this is not like where they're not dotting your scorecard before we go out. Like, this is all gross.
Yeah, he thought he was at a bingo town hall meeting because he's looking for dots. And we're like, but it's gross. There's no dots.
So, oh, man, I can't thank him enough. He was a trooper. He never complained. He was a blast. He sold me that he didn't snore. He did, in fact, snore. I might. He got a driver overnighted for Friday, missed Friday's round, probably could have really used it Friday. It was a lot better for him on Saturday and Sunday. I might have witnessed the first par 3 yips that I've ever seen.
Oh, my God.
I didn't know that was really a thing, but I think Steve might have the par 3 yips because other than that, he played pretty solid the last 9 holes at Mid Pines, and then he played good the first 9 holes of Southern Pines on Sunday. And just gets that par 3, man. I don't know if he's just thinking a little too much or what, this, that, or the other. I gave a piece of advice on the irons. I don't know if he's going to take it. I don't know, man.
Yeah, no, it was, we both of us missed the cut. I mean, Eden and I played very well on Friday. And I thought we were going to just roll it on over into Saturday, but we took a couple steps back on Saturday, missed the cut by 2, ended up at Southern Pines with you two yo-yos, and we had a blast. The 4 of us played together. You were on a tear, bud. I mean, you shot, 68, 67?
3 unders, yeah, 68.
And frankly, you missed a couple putts. You bogeyed the 1 par 3. Yeah, 66 in the bag all day for you, bud. I'm proud of you. That was awesome. And obviously it showed because by the time he walked off 18, I mean, buddy, you couldn't even walk straight. We're like, this guy, he drink tequila?
Tequila. Got into some beers on Sunday. Sunday was fun. Steve, I made a bogey on a par 5. I had 2 bogeys. Made a bogey on a par 5. Steve made par, saved us there. And then I made a bogey on a par 3. But it was fun. It's always fun when you get into a little bit of a zone.
Always a good time down there. So we'll look forward to that next year. PGA Tour, the players. You guys probably watched that last weekend and I did take a couple horses in the race. I took Victor Hovland. I took Ricky Fowler on a chance. I took Cam Young. None of those won for me, but Hovland made it interesting. Scheffler, number 1 in the world now. There's no doubt about it. I mean, obviously he started a little shaky on Sunday, but that round on Saturday, Was he going to fumble and lose the lead? And the answer is no.
Well,
what'd you think about it?
First off, that place it's fun to watch a little bit. Rory missed the cut. Rahm had to withdraw due to a stomach bug. But it's fun to watch those guys down to 16, 17, and 18. I mean, you saw Hogue shot 62, course record.
Yeah.
I know he beat our friend Colt Nost, his course record. He was on I think he was playing Whisper Rock when he was watching it on his phone, and they showed him make the putt. So, but Scheffler is impressive, man. The guy just freaking gets it done. And, that's the thing, too, is on Sunday, he didn't have to do a whole lot in the first couple of holes. That other guy kind of played himself out of it. And then I think that's when Scheffler, that's when he really turned it on, because then it was his, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he made, 4 or 5 birdies in a row?
Well, and chips in. I mean, he chipped in Saturday.
But when's the last time you chipped in?
The only time I chipped in when I threw the chips in a poker game. I mean, it's been a long time. I mean, it's been a while, and these guys do it religiously. And then this Minwoo,
yeah, him.
My man, 2 holes on Saturday. I'm sitting there watching it, and they got that speed on there, man. His ball speed with his driver reached 192 miles an hour. But your Camry doesn't go 192 miles an hour, all right?
Okay, but why should not tell people what I do?
I mean, this guy, it's unbelievable where this game's going. I mean, 192 ball speed, tour average 172. It's crazy.
That's why I can't wait for you to get fit for a new driver, bud, because I mean, I'm watching you use this M5 from 17 years ago at Pine Needles, and yeah, I mean, you hit it pretty good, but in reality, you're losing 15 yards on this thing.
Yeah.
You are.
I know.
The driver's dead, bud. It was dead 5 years ago. You're still using it. Bud,
all right.
Go to the piggy bank and get some coins out and
I
get
got
a new driver, bud.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. It was a fun 2 weeks, though, between the last episode and now. And
today's a big gambling day. Starts of a big gambling.
Today, the March Madness begins. Well, it technically began a couple of days ago, but today it begins, and this is the greatest sports season of all time. All these bets, all these wagers, all these teams. Madness is going to be real this year. And also, so yeah, I know you're going to watch, but also this week started NFL free agency. Another fun time in the sports world to see where all these players are going to go. Where's A-Rod going to go? Blah, 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 blah. And it doesn't really, fall short that we have 2-time Super Bowl champion, ESPN analyst here on the pod today, Booger McFarland, joining us on Chasin Birdies. Goes hand in hand, right, bud?
Goes hand in hand. Let's roll it on over to Booger McFarland. Let's talk a little bit about Joyce's Jewelry. Make sure you go over to joycesjewelry.com. Chasin Birdies 20 at checkout gets you 20% off your purchase. And then also keep in mind, March 24th and 25th, if you're looking for a wedding band for yourself, for the lady, the man, whatever you need, they're going to have their spring wedding band event. You go there, tell them the Chasin Birdie Boys sent you. Crown Ring will be there. Has an awesome array of men's bands. And then, of course, Joyce's Jewelry collection. They're also going to give you an opportunity to win a $500 gift card. joycesjewelry.com, and go check them out on Instagram, Joyce's Jewelry.
All right, y'all. Welcome back here to another episode of Chasin Birdies. And today, we have another professional joining us, Pep. We had Pompiani on, and today we're joined by the likes of Booger McFarland. I hear his hands are better than Tiger Woods' massage therapist from the Sand Bunker. My man, thanks for joining us.
Hey, man, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, man, we're happy to have you. 2-time Super Bowl champ. How you doing right now?
Hey, man, I'm living life, man. It's the off season for me, so that means a lot more times where my hands are on a golf club. So that I couldn't be better.
That's exactly
Where are you
right.
coming from right now?
Tampa, Florida, man. Sunshine and no state taxes.
We were just down there. We just went down and played Old Memorial.
Yeah, not my favorite course in the area, but it's a good one. It has a lot of national acclaim. I don't believe you should walk every round of golf unless you're getting paid for it. So maybe that's a reason I don't look at it as high as some of the others. But it's definitely a good golf course.
We've heard that before.
Yeah.
That, I'm not walking. I'll ride everywhere. So yeah, Tampa's a great spot, man. Good cigars, a lot of cigars there, good golf, and yeah. So
Sunshine.
You're with ESPN still?
Yeah, I've been with ESPN since 2014. So I guess it's coming up on what 9, 10 years, and started down in Charlotte at the SEC Network, man. So kind of cut my teeth there, worked my way up, and it's amazing. Like all along the way, like going to Charlotte, which is where the SEC Network is located. I used to go to Charlotte every weekend, and so one of the first things that I do when I go and visit a city, and I know I'm gonna be there not only a while, but I'm gonna be there continuously. So I'm gonna find out what the best golf courses in the area are, and when I get free time, I'll play them. And so I've worked in Charlotte, I've worked in Bristol, and the cool thing about it, even though I hate the cold weather, like Boog's not a fan of anything that doesn't have at least a 5 in the first number. And so, like when you go to like Connecticut, which is where ESPN is located, it starts getting chilly around October. It starts getting flat out cold, like at the end of November. And so, I do college football Saturdays, NFL Sunday and Monday. So Sunday mornings, I usually have a little free time, and so I'm always on the golf course somewhere Sunday morning. And so it's kind of funny because until you kind of build up I guess, your stash of courses that you go play, I would just kind of cold call places on Sunday mornings, be like, "Hey, Booger here with ESPN. Uh, you mind if I come out and play your golf course?" And most of them oblige. Some of them are like, well, you got to have a member, and we only accept guests on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I'm like, okay, buddy. Like the dirt's not that serious. Like, come on, it's just dirt, man. Like, come on.
Right.
But yeah, man. So just been with ESPN and talking football and playing golf all along.
That's great.
When your NFL career, you get drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but through your NFL career, which you obviously had a successful one, did you think, I want to do this after, I want to be a commentator after I'm done retiring, or did it kind of fall into your lap?
Well, I wouldn't say it fell into my lap. Like I got done playing football in 2007 was my last season. And so for like the next 3, 4, 5 years, it's like, okay, let's figure out what we're gonna do in life. Started a family, got married, started having kids, and played golf 4 times a week, man. I mean, started really just playing like super well. And then all of a sudden it's like, you know what? Like this is cool, but like I need something else. And that's when I started, kind of figuring it out. And I got a call one day from a buddy of mine, like in 2011. And he's like, "Hey, CBS is starting a new radio station in Tampa. Think you'd be perfect for it. Would you like to come audition?" I'm like, "Sure." CBS, very reputable company, good benefits, the whole nine. And so I started. I did it. Started doing local radio, talking Lightning, Bucks, Rays, hockey. Had no idea what offsides was, but I had to figure it out and learn, and balks and double plays. And I did that for a couple of years, and that kind of led me to getting the job at ESPN and so on and so forth.
That's great. We are two big hockey nuts up here too. Obviously, coming from Pittsburgh region, hockey's kind of instilled in your blood, and so is football. I mean, obviously the Steelers, but the whole hockey thing, it's a whole different world, man. Those guys are, they're in some respect some of the best athletes in the world, and I feel like they get overlooked sometimes. But I got to tell you something, Booger, and you're going to laugh, maybe you won't laugh, but I always enjoyed, and I just got to say this because you're on the podcast now, I always enjoyed watching you on Monday Night Football because I loved that moving chair that you would sit upon. They would scale away, and then you could see you riding down the field, and I'm like, this is hilarious. I loved it. That's what I thought about. I just wanted to tell you that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It was something that, the bosses were like, "Hey, this is going to be new and innovating and cutting edge." And it was different and it was unique. I think there's certain things in life, though, that have proven to stand the test of time, i.e., the tire being round. No matter how they've improved the rubber, it's always going to be round. Like there's really no other way to make the tire. And I think, when you look at football, being able to analyze and broadcast football, I think there's a reason the announcers are up above where you can see. Now, I do think that the field analyst role that we have created over the last 5 or 6 years is cool, but I don't think you need to ride up and down in like a motorized cart to get it done. And hey, We tried it; it didn't work. But I definitely appreciate the risk taking by the bosses.
Yep, I got you.
Well, and if that sticks, man, you're one of the innovators, right? So it would have been cool. But
so why golf? When did you get that passion and love for golf?
You know what, man? I think as an athlete, I think there's a level of competitiveness that we all have, and when the body doesn't allow you to do your particular sport anymore, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, whatever it is, that competitiveness doesn't go away. So what do you do with it? Like there's only so much pool or jacks or whatever you can play, and I'm not going to be out here running races and doing a lot of different things. I'm not going to body build. And so golf was a way, man, that allowed that competitiveness to continue to come out. Plus, it's really hard. And I think, when you want to, when you get challenged with something, you want to continue to try to conquer it. And I think that's ultimately what led me to really get into it. And on top of that, it's fun. And it's allowed me to meet a lot of people because I think golf bridges the gap between age, between race, between society, between economic status. It bridges all those gaps, and it just allows you to go out and swing the golf club, man. And you can meet a lot of people. You can have fun with a lot of people. It's just long enough, and you can make it short enough if you need to, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5 hours, where you can enjoy a level of competitiveness, and you can get just enough of it where it wants to make you come back every single time. So yeah, golf checks all the boxes for me, man.
I understand that you play rounds of golf pretty quick. 2 hours for an 18-hole round? Is that?
Yeah, I don't believe in being out there forever, man. Because here's the thing about it: it's like if you think about this, think about how long it takes you to hit a golf shot. Let's say you get to your ball, you get your yardage.
10 seconds.
Right, once you get the yardage, it shouldn't take you more than 10 seconds to pull the trigger. Let's say, okay, if it takes you 15 seconds to pull the trigger, all right, 15 seconds to pull the trigger, and you shoot 90. Okay, you do the math. That shouldn't take a long time to play around the golf. But what happens is we spend most of the time during the round talking on the tee box, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I tell my friends, hey, if we're going to talk after you hit your shot. Then we can talk all day. But golf is fun. I do like to play at a brisk pace. I realize I'm not a professional. So therefore, if the yardage marker in the fairway says 150 and I look on the green and the flag is in the middle, then the yardage is going to be around 150. I don't need 154, okay? I don't need 153. I need the marker in the ground says 150, all right? I kind of look around. If there's no wind, pins in the middle, I'm grabbing a 9-iron. If it's a little uphill, I'm going to grab an 8-iron. If it's a little downhill, I'm probably still going to hit a 9-iron. And I swing the club. Like, I don't overanalyze this thing because as an amateur, most amateurs fall into this category. If I gave you 5 shots with the same club, you're probably going to hit it 5 different distances. Now, you could be in the same ballpark, but it's not like you're hitting it 153.5 like Johnny Miller every time. But so I don't need to sit there with my rangefinder and be like, you know what? To get over that bunker is 137. Man, if I jump on this wedge, come on, man. Hit the 9-iron and keep it moving. So, yeah, I don't believe in all the, making this thing out to be rocket science. Man, it's golf. It's fun. I think if you played long enough, you understand how far you hit your clubs. I think if you take your ego out, you can really be honest and you understand what you're capable of as a golfer. And if you want to be better, you go practice and you get lessons. So that's kind of how I approach the game, man.
You would lose your mind at a collegiate golf tournament.
Oh, my God.
These guys, Booger, they sit there and do the exact opposite of what you just said. Win,
yardage sheets,
pin
sheets,
talking it over. I mean, these rounds are taking 5.5 hours.
Yeah, but those guys are aspiring professionals. So I can understand, even though they're amateurs, they are high-level amateurs. And so I can understand them doing that when you're competing for a team. I can get that. I'm talking about showing up showing up at Oakmont on Saturday morning at 10, and it's just you and 2 other buddies, and you guys are teeing it off, and both you guys hit the drive down there on number 1 at Oakmont, and it's downhill, and you got 235 to the green. All right, 235 to the green, and you're like, you know what? Is that a 4-iron? Okay, but like seriously, I mean, pull the hybrid out, hit it, and let's go, man. Like, let's keep this moving, man.
Well, you talk about Oakmont, so what's your thought about Oakmont? Because I know you played it.
I think it's one of the best courses in America, man. I think that piece of property to have stood the test of time over the years, to me, is one of the things you always look at in a great golf course. Yeah, they've quote unquote lengthened it a little bit and found some more yardage. I think you have to do that with technology. However, with that being said, it's just, man, it's just pure golf right in front of you, man. It's not a ton of trees. I think what is like one tree on the golf course, 1 or 2 trees on the golf course.
Yeah, there's not many trees.
It has some iconic holes. When you look at the church pews, when you look at some of the short par threes, you look at, what is that, 16, the drivable par 4 right
17.
17, yeah. And then you look at 18 as it's coming back up to the clubhouse. So phenomenal. I love the golf course. And when I played it, we teed off on a Tuesday morning, 7:45, 8 o'clock. I was done by 10:30, and I was standing in front of one of those showers at like 10:45. And to me, like, the golf course is great, and the golf course is 1A. But when you get in that locker room, that old school locker room with those showers, like, that's right there with 1B, the breakfast, the whole nine. I think it's one of the great country clubs in America, based on not just the golf course, but everything that goes on around the golf course.
Yeah, I agree.
I love when you walk in there on the benches, the old, back in the day, the metal spikes. They used to put their foot on the bench, and the metal spike marks are still on every bench. I just think it's so cool. They don't change very much in that locker room.
No. Well, the nice thing about Oakmont is, like, you have to play in 4 hours, like, regardless of whether you want to be, Tommy Hero out there or just an amateur golfer. You got to get it in because the member is going to be getting a letter, and it happens.
I have a funny story. A buddy of mine that's a member took some friends out. One of his buddies wanted to come out that he did not know. His buddy's friend he did not know, and he came out with them, and he's on the golf course taking photos all around. They're having a beer after the course. He said, did you get some good photos today? He said, yeah, I got great photos. Thank you so much. He said, good, because it's the last time you'll be coming here. And it was because it's like, dude, just play the golf course. You got to play, or if you're not in 4 hours, they're getting pressed. When the ranger comes out, you see him, you got to get moving. It's again, there's no excuse for it. 4 hours walking.
Well, it's nothing wrong with taking a picture, man. But listen, prime example, if we're playing a foursome and I hit my drive, that means 3 other people have got to hit. You take your picture while the 3 other people are hitting if you want to, and then you keep it moving. Like, it's nothing wrong with doing that. You just got to understand, like, we don't need to stop and have a meeting to do all this. Like, other people have to hit also. Like, there's plenty of time to do a lot of different things. You just got to say, you know what? I'm not going to be out here. Like, this is fun. This is competitive. I'm enjoying it. But I'm not going to make this, like, this is not going to be an all-day affair out there. Like, I just don't believe golf is an all-day affair. Like, even when you play, it's one thing to go to Augusta and spend a couple of days there and you play golf and you go in the locker room and you take in the whole ordeal. Like, that's one thing, because now I'm going to be here. That's different. Or if I'm going to Pine Valley and I'm going to do the experience. But most of the clubs in America, when you show up, hey, man, like, you have local guys there, even national guys. Like, guys are coming to experience the golf course, play golf. We're trying to hit it and move on, man. 3.5, 4 hours. Like, golf is not a game that should take over 4 hours to play. It should.
Yeah.
You mentioned Pine Valley. What's your thoughts of that whole experience?
I've actually never played Pine Valley. It's one of the spots that I've never played. I got several people that are members. I had a trip scheduled there for mid-April in 2020. Well, we all know the pandemic hit in March, and so we had to cancel our trip. I just hadn't been, but I got a couple people that are members there. I just hadn't been back. I heard it's a great experience.
It's awesome.
But here's my feeling about golf courses, man. Like, even the most prestigious golf courses in the world, I understand access and membership has its privileges, but at the end of the day, man, it's dirt. All right, this is what we're dealing with. Like, it's dirt, it's grass, it's dirt. I'm not a big believer of, man, this is such hallowed ground that, like, we can't have X, Y, Z. Okay, man, life is about relationships. Like it's about who you know, when you know them, and the ability to use those relationships. And so I just don't believe, like people say, man, it's tough to get on. It's not tough to get on. You just got to know the right person. And so, like when I talk to these people at certain places who say, man, we can only allow guests on Tuesday or Wednesday. Okay, what's so special about Tuesday or Wednesday? Like seriously, like come on, like, like what's wrong with Friday? Okay, I get it. The members get the Friday morning times. Can I come out Friday at 1? Like, come on, man. Like oftentimes people at these places, they revere their spots so much, man, that it sometimes and I get it. Membership has its privileges, but at certain points, man, it becomes annoying. It's like, come on, man, like it's dirt. Like
Yeah.
I got similar dirt back in Florida where I live. Like it may be different than yours in New Jersey or wherever, but come on, it's just dirt, man.
It's a network now with these golf clubs, man. It's like everyone's trying to chase and get on these certain clubs. Like you said, it's who you know, relationships. I know someone here, I know someone there. And at the end of the day, everybody should be able to play. I mean, but golf does put that little bit of prestige on things. I mean, it is one of the sports where it is a networked driven type game. And whether that's good or not, I don't know. But you talk about the time and the pace of play. I always wondered what it would look like on tour if they put a shot clock on for these guys. I mean, I think they got the speed down now, but you see what they're doing with baseball now. They got that pitch clock, 8 seconds or whatever, and that's already affected a couple games recently in spring training. So, they talked about that in the past about having a shot clock on for the tour. But what's your take on it? I don't think that's really necessary.
Yeah, you don't need shot clocks in golf, man. I just think that, again, pace of play only comes up at certain times of year, majors, because the courses are harder. Anytime Kevin Na's playing, there's certain times where pace of play comes up. Most of the time, a prime example, like I was watching the Honda this past weekend. Pace of play wasn't an issue, man. I mean, Chris Kirk, the guy got his yardage, he stepped up. And when he had a shot, he hit the shot. Now, when you get in adverse situations in under a tree or in the water, yeah, things slow down. I think most people understand that. But that's one of those moments that everybody wants to see when a guy's taking his shoes off, or when a guy's when there's disaster potentially happening because the ball is under a tree and you're trying to take a swing. So I don't think golf has a pace of play issue where baseball needed that. Because baseball games were, teetering on 3.5, 3:45, 4 hours, which is way too long. Like I think there were 2 games that I read about with the pitch clock that were less than 2.5 hours. That's pretty good. Like 2:25, 2:28. That's pretty good. And I think baseball warranted that because too much time was spent with the batter adjusting his gloves 17 times because that's his habit, or the pitcher wanted this. He had to go through this ritual. Like, hey man, put your foot on the rubber, get the sign, get ready. And I think 15 seconds is more than enough time to gather yourself and be on the rubber ready to throw a pitch. Also, it's more than enough time for the batter to be in the box ready to go also.
Yeah, I agree. So you mentioned you were watching a Honda Classic. So let me ask you this. You didn't want to tune into the CW and watch LIV Golf over in Mexico?
You know what? It's one of those things, man, where like it hasn't become a habit yet. I think I will eventually because I like as far as the LIV and the PGA Tour have to do with each other. I think I look at LIV. LIV did things to make the PGA Tour better, and I think there's a reason why that a lot of those golfers went over to LIV. Not only the money. Let's face it, the money was the primary reason they went, but I do think a lot of things that they did spurn the PGA Tour to be better. As a golfer, I just want to see the best players in the world play.
Yeah.
And if they're playing for LIV, I'm going to watch LIV. They're playing, like this week, you could argue that the field for LIV was better than the field for the Honda. But it hasn't become a habit yet. Like we know, or we are wired that on Sunday or Saturday, if I want to watch golf, CBS, NBC. By CBS, I'm going to get Jim Nantz and Trevor Immelman. NBC, I'm going to get Dan Hicks and Azinger. Like that's how we're wired right now. We have to create a new habit to watch LIV on the CW, and it'll take some time. But if they got the best players in the world playing, it'll happen. There's no question, especially on the weekend. Like, am I going to want to watch Chris Kirk and Eric Cole, or do I want to watch DJ, Brooks Koepka, Poulter, and those guys? I think most people know the bigger names, and once they figure out, hey, on the weekend it's on CW, I think those numbers will go up.
When this whole thing with the LIV and the PGA Tour happened, I kind of was like, man, the LIV, I hate that. The LIV Tour, blah, blah, blah. The more I sit back and look at it, the better, like you said, it is for the PGA Tour. The PGA Tour has made some changes that, again, when you're sitting right here and nobody's pressing you or pressuring you to do something different, you're going to keep doing the same old thing and not get better, or either way. And I think that's one thing that the LIV Tour has gotten the PGA Tour to do. They're getting some bigger purse events. Tiger and Rory came out with this little league that they're going to start doing. And to be honest, Rory stepped up and voiced for the PGA Tour, which was the best thing ever that he could do. And then he goes and wins the FedEx Cup after he puts his voice out there. So I think the LIV Tour has pushed the PGA Tour to do things a little differently for the better.
Yeah, I think two things it did. One, more money. I think they have those nine premier events where the purses are going to be $20 to $25 million. And also, it's going to force the best players in the world. Like, if you want our tour to be what it should be, you got to play. Like, yeah. Rory made a great statement. Like, what sports in the world do the athletes decide when they play? Usually the sport sets the games and the athletes play. Well, in golf, it's differently. Golf has so many events that the athletes pick and choose their own schedule. Well, that's probably not the way it should be. And I think LIV has forced those guys to show up at these designated events. Like Bay Hill this week. Bay Hill is a designated event, and it's a $20 million purse. And all the big guns are going to be there.
Yep.
And I think it's really great because you can tune in, and you got Bay Hill, and you got a legendary course. Well, guess what? I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see how the Masters shakes out, because the Masters will be the first major where LIV and the PGA Tour are all at the same event. And it wouldn't surprise me that if that leaderboard on Thursday consisted of a lot of LIV players, because when you think about some of the big game hunters that they have that are going to be at Augusta, Dustin, Cam Smith,
Patrick Reed,
Brooks Koepka, Patrick Reed, Mito Pereira, I think, is a guy who just went over to LIV. Like that, all the guys that have been competing are going to be there. And I think what's it going to say if those guys, I'm not going to say win the tournament, but if they are dominating the leaderboard, I want to see how much ESPN and CBS leans into it. Are they going to just call it like, hey, here's Dustin, here's Patrick Reed? Or are they going to lean into the LIV versus PGA Tour? That'll be interesting. I don't know if Augusta is going to, quote unquote, allow that, or do they just say, hey, broadcast the tournament like you always do? Or do you lean into the LIV PGA battle within the Masters or the U.S. Open or PGA or whatever?
I did say months ago, I said, whatever Augusta does is what the rest of the majors are going to do, because all four majors are their own governing body, essentially. And I'm telling you, if Augusta would have said, number one, they wouldn't have made an announcement. It would just have been a letter sent out that you're not even, or just not invited. And once they said that they're allowed to play, every other major came out and said, yeah, they're welcome to play. And Augusta they're the trend center. I mean, it's as big as it gets.
For sure. Well, I think that, with respect to the majors, I don't have an issue with those guys playing in them. I mean, again, as a golf fan and a spectator, which is what we are, we want to see the best competing at that level in those tournaments. And this is unlike anything else that has happened in sports. And you know more about it, Booger, than me. But my point is, like, you look at the XFL compared to the NFL. The XFL isn't going to rival the NFL. This is just like a fill-in league for some players that may not have had a chance to make it in the NFL. But that's not the case with LIV and PGA Tour. LIV is taking top-notch players in the world and creating this new tour. So it's unlike anything we have ever seen in sports. So it's just interesting to see how it shakes out coming into its second year.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I don't know how the schedule falls, But if LIV is having their events on these non-designated PGA Tour weekends, then that's just great for LIV. Because once people realize that, hey, again, instead of watching Chris Kirk and Eric Cole, I can tune in to watch all the players that I named earlier, then everybody's tuning to the CW.
Yeah.
It would be tough if LIV had an event next week. I don't know if they have one next week or not, but if LIV had an event next week, or this week, should I say, and Bay Hill's going on, yes, it's going to be tough on LIV just because our habits are going to say turn to NBC. I got Bay Hill, even though NBC has switched over from Gary Koch and Roger Maltby. We got all these new guys. That's a whole different story now with Faxon and all these new guys. But I just wonder when they're going to have their events. I think they got 14 events this year, and they've had, one or two? So do those events fall on non-designated weekends? And I know they don't fall on majors, but do they fall on non-designated event weekends?
So let me ask you something. And, you being a professional athlete, in 1997, the world was graced with Tiger Woods winning his first major. Everything he's been through, how good of an athlete is Tiger Woods?
Well, I think obviously the easy answer is he's a great athlete, but I think you have to understand why. Because what makes a great athlete is not just the physical prowess, which is the athletic ability, the hand-eye coordination, the explosiveness, the flexibility, the coordination, all those things. It's the mental toughness and the mental ability to do those things under duress repeatedly. And I think that's what makes Tiger Woods one of the great athletes of all time. We can see the physical attributes. We can see those things. Like I can pull up, I can turn on the Golf Channel and watch Brando Chambly talk about spine angle and rotation and ground force and all those different things. What you can't see is the mental fortitude that it takes to, entrain those habits in your body or your process, and B, the mental toughness that it takes over and over to practice those. And under the gun, when it's 7 rows deep, as far as you can see, and there's 2,000 people on one hole watching you, can you do it when everybody's watching? A lot of people can perform. Like we've all had our rounds of our life where we went out and shot the best round ever. How many people are watching other than the 3 people in your group? How many people are looking? Like Tiger Woods and LeBron James and some of the great athletes have had to do this with millions and millions of people watching and thousands of people right there looking at them. And I think that's what makes him one of the greatest athletes of all time. Things you can see, but more importantly, things you can't see. Because we've seen great golfers, or we've heard of talented golfers. Remember Ty Tryon, who was supposed to be the phenom. I can't think of some other guys that were supposed to be these great phenoms at a young age, but they never materialized. And yeah, there were injuries that were there.
Anthony Kim.
And exactly. Why didn't that talent manifest into what it should have been? You look at Charles Howard III, who's had a really good career.
Incredible.
Probably hadn't been what it should have been. You look at some of the great golfers of our time who were super talented. I think like Sergio Garcia, super talented golfer. How come he didn't win more? And A, the PGA Tour is hard, but B, I just think there's a level of, I'm successful, I'm happy, I feel good. I'm not going to work as hard. Like that's a natural human trait. Once you get to the top of the mountain, you take a seat. I don't think Tiger's ever taken a seat. Now, it's part of the reason why his body's broken down. Car crash aside, even before that, it was his back. Like the back was breaking down, the knee, the Achilles, all the things that he went through. But yeah, it's his mental fortitude, man.
I do. I think the coolest thing over the last 6-7 years, I think part of it is contributing from Tiger being a father, his kids, his son getting to see Charlie, getting to see him win a Masters, his 15th major, which was awesome to watch. But I really enjoy him talking to other PGA Tour players, joking around, the girl that had the sign and went over and handed her a glove and checked off the sign for her to meet Tiger Woods. Things like that it's awesome to see Tiger be Tiger, right? Because in the first 15 years of his career, it was so stoic. He was so focused. He did not even look left or right. So to see him actually be this person that is very caring for other people is really cool to watch.
Yeah, it's a great thing, man. Again, I think old age softens us all, man. Like, this kind of how it goes. It softens us all up.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of old age, I mean, I read something about you dilly-dallying with Gary Player. I mean, did you ever get to play with Gary? I mean, what's going on with that?
Never got a chance to play with Gary. Gary called into a radio show, and he was just talking noise or whatever that I was on, Mike and Mike, years ago. And I just told him, like him, Trevino, like all these old guys, at some point, the laws of physics says that I'm going to be favored when it comes to this. Okay, if I'm 45 and you're 90, I'll take me over Gary Player or Lee Trevino. Like, I don't think Lee Trevino's seen his toes in years. Okay, so I'll take me over them. And so that's kind of how that thing got started. And they started talking trash, and we were going back and forth. And it's all in fun. And I talked to one of his managers or whatever, and we tried to set up a match in Orlando, but we never did it.
That's funny. Yeah, I was reading that. I was laughing because Gary said, well, I'll walk on my hands or something, or I'll walk around the course.
It was pretty funny.
I did play with Trevino a couple years ago, and the guy still hit the ball like he never left the tour. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, man, we are so happy to have you on here, and I know we're going to be kind of ending the segment here shortly, but just wanted to say thanks again for joining us here on Chasin Birdies.
With your son playing and for the Pittsburgh Steelers, we got to get you up this way a little bit more during the season, man. We got some good golf up here. I know that you have not played.
Well, first of all, again, people, it's not just you, but people make that mistake a lot. That's not my son. He just, people, like, if I've been asked about that for like 10, if I've been asked 10 times, I've been asked 1 million.
Oh, wow.
Junior, same name, whatever, but no relation whatsoever.
That's nice, bud. I mean, I was excited. I looked it on bud. Well, I looked it online and it said relate. And I'm like, well, that's pretty cool. His son plays for the Steelers.
Nah.
That's nice. Not even his son. Well, you can still come to Pittsburgh, bud.
I trust me. I'll definitely come up there and check it out, man.
Hey, we're gonna turn this segment over to the last piece of the show here, Booger, called the Tap In segment, presented by Bettinardi Golf. Jonathan's gonna ask you 4 questions that demand your quick-witted response, and there you go. They're kind of fun.
Let's do it.
Most memorable round of golf?
Probably the first time I played Augusta, because I was such in awe of the history that had gone on at the place. Standing on the tee box, some of the members that were there, some of the people that worked there came outside because I was with myself and Derek Brooks, who is a much more notable football player, Hall of Fame guy. And so here we are teeing off, and before you know it, there's 40 people on the tee box, between workers, caddies, players. The group in front of us let us go through, the group behind us. So next thing you know, we got 40 people in the tee box, and the member that was hosting my group says, "Hey, Anthony, all right, why don't you lead us off?" And literally, I've played in 2 Super Bowls. I've done a lot of different things. It's the most nervous I've ever been in my life.
I know the feeling.
Best player that you ever played against in the NFL?
Larry Allen, not even close. He's a Hall of Fame NFL offensive lineman. Unreal.
All right. Dream golf course you want to play?
Wow. Man, I want to go to St. Andrews, man. I do. I want to go play St. Andrews.
We just did an Ireland trip this past summer, man, and that was awesome.
Yeah, I bet.
St. Andrews is good, though.
All right. Last question. What are you chasing?
Par.
Hey, that's not bad.
That, dude. I'm chasing par.
Staying level. I love it, man. Well, listen, it was awesome connecting with you. And shout out to Pega for helping us land this. But, maybe you come up to Pittsburgh. We all get together, peg it up. Like Pep said, there's so many good courses around the area. and we could make something happen for sure.
Mosey on down to West Virginia, Morgantown. There's a little gem there.
No question. We'll do it, man. At some point soon, man. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, thanks again. Man, I love seeing a guy like Booger just loving the game of golf, man. I mean, I wish he would have done the thing with Gary Player. I think that would have been great for content for both of them.
Yeah.
I mean, Gary Player would have just leveled it up.
Could you imagine Booger and my dad playing together, bud?
They'd be done in 2 hours and 10 minutes.
They'd be in each
18.
other's way. They would play in 2 hours and still be in each other's way because one would be faster than the other. I mean, it's just like, that's awesome. He's right, though. Let's talk to me after, bud. Let's hit and then talk.
You want to take photos, dude, after you hit, bud? I agree. I got to give a shout out, though, to J.R. Hess Jr. and Pega for making its intro to us to get Booger on. So, Junior and Pega, you guys rock. Thank you for doing that, because without you guys, we would not have had the man on the show today. So, shout out to you, too. Great episode, though. And also, it is coming here. We gained another hour, which means daylight savings time. I don't know. Is it over? Did it start? I don't even know. But the point being is longer nights means you can get out on the course a little later in the day. Summer's around the corner, late spring, and no better place to go to than Nemacolin to check them out up there, play some golf, indoor, outdoor. Nemacolin.com, 5-star all around. If you guys in New York or Colorado or Illinois, I know you guys listening out there, if you have not come to Nemacolin outside of Pittsburgh, you're missing out. Check them out online at Nemacolin.com. 2
events coming to Nemacolin that you should probably mark down, bud. You got the Joe Hardy Big Smoke, which is in May, Mother's Day weekend. Best ball, gross, and net. And then on Sunday, June 4th, Playing Through. We've had 2 of the 3 Playing Through members coming on our podcast. You have Tyler Reeve, Cole Taylor, and Cole Swindell coming to Nemacolin Sunday night, 8 p.m. at the Peak. Book your room. Be here. It's going to be fun. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Some good stuff to look forward to here. Chasing birdies and golf and life and everything else that we're trying to do. But you know what, guys? It's always a pleasure being able to deliver you some good stuff here. I hope you all enjoyed today's episode. And stay tuned. We'll have another drop in 2 weeks. Hopefully it's just as good as this one. And anything else you want to say, bud? I know you're itching over there to try to get out and watch some basketball games. I mean, I don't start yet, but...
No, nothing. Keep chasing them, guys, on the course, off the course. ChasinBirdies.com and Chasin_birdies on Instagram. Make sure you like it. We're going to be doing some more giveaways, some new merch. Thank you again for tuning in.
And thank you to Evo and his team over at Simpler Media for putting this thing together. Rachel London, Jacqueline DiPaterio for all your social media help. We appreciate it. And we appreciate you guys listening to us. So we'll check y'all here in 2.